a really warm welcome back to Urban Flower Collective. If it's your first time here, then welcome. If you've been here before, then thanks for coming back. So today we're going to learn how to make these lovely little wax flowers. Now these are lovely little filler flowers just on their own, or they look nice in a sprig like this. They're really quick, very easy to make, and they look great on cakes. So you don't always have to have all the showstoppers. Sometimes just one or two showstopper big flowers are really nice with little filler flowers in between them. So things like these and things like foliage and gypsophila are really nice to sort of intersperse with your big showstoppers. So this is what I'm going to show you how to do today. So we'll make a couple of flowers, dust them up. I'll show you how to tape them up, make the buds and the leaves. So let's get cracking. So we don't need too much at all. Today I'm going to use my favourite, it's ultra fine modelling paste. I always use this one. You find a paste that really works well in your climate. Now if you want the PDF with all the list of equipment, then you can download that from my website. The link will be in the show notes. Just it takes too long to go through everything when I'm doing these quick tutorials, these quick free ones. So we're just going to take, you can see, just a tiny bit of flour paste. I've probably even got too much there. I'm going to take a little bit more off. You want it kind of the size of a chickpea, I'd say. About that size. So I'm just going to roll that out. I'm going to bring it to a bit of a cone shape. And then we're going to use our petal foam pad with the holes in. So the Mexican hats, these are called. And I'm going for, there's a tiny one, a small one, and well, there's 5 holes basically. I'm going for the middle hole. And I'm just going to press that down and then take my rolling pin and roll over the paste. Now this paste is quite sticky, so I'm just going to try not to make it curl up. Not doing a very good job of that. Then I'm going to take it out and you can see we're left with this kind of Mexican hat shape. Next, if you've got a cell pin, then use a cell pin. If you haven't, I'm just going to use a piece of dowel that I stack cakes with, and I'm going to roll this out even finer. So I'm going to get right into the cone. I can't get in this close with my rolling pin. So that's why I'm using this. So we're just going to try and make this as fine as we possibly can. So get right up to that little point on the petal paste. You can see I've used far too much paste here, but never mind. So we're just going to roll this out all the way. Yep, so you can download the PDF. If you need any support or help, then check the link, Urban Flower Collective. I've got a free Facebook group as well where you can have help and support, ask questions about anything regarding sugar flowers in there. So next, now I've got that little point and the rest rolled out nicely, I'm just going to take this little 5 petal cutter. It's not, I would say it's probably about 1.5 centimetres in diameter. I will put all the diameters and all the measurements on the PDF that you can download, and I'm just going to cut this out. Now sometimes this is quite a cheap cutter. It came from just a little cookie cutter set, and it doesn't always cut that well, so I'm just flipping it over and making sure I've got some clean cuts on there, and I'm just going to press it out with that tool. And I'm just going to do the same again. We'll do 2 while we're on here. I'm just going to use the leftover paste from that because I did have quite a lot. So again, I'm just going to roll this into a cone shape. I'm going to pop it into number 3 on this pad. In fact, I'm just going to roll it out with this little dowel. So cell pin does the same thing, proper tool. I'm all about trying to use tools that you've already got, trying to multitask with tools and not buy things that we don't necessarily need, because not only do you have to store them, but it's more expense. So we're going to try and get as close to that little point as we possibly can. Roll out, roll out, roll out. And do one more little flower. two we've got cut out. Just pop it out with that. Now next, in a wax flower, they've got a tiny little kind of frilly centre piece as well. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either take the tiniest ball and just roll it out if you don't have a tiny cutter. In fact, again, that's too big. I'm going to half that again. You know, we're looking about 1 millimetre in diameter for this little ball, like so. Or I've just got a pipe and tip, again, probably about 1 millimetre in diameter, and you can use that to cut out your circles as well. As you can see, I'm just rolling out with this little dowel, so you can cut circles out like so. So they will do for our centres. So next we're going to bring over our petal pad again, and this time I'm just going to take a ball tool, small ball tool, one of your smaller ones, and I'm just going to roll this out a little bit because it still looks a little bit fat. So I'm just going to roll it out and make the petals just a little bit bigger. Now when you look at a wax flower, they look like a child's drawing of a flower. You know, they don't kind of overlap, the petals don't overlap. And I think that's what makes them quite cute, it makes them quite nice. So they look like kind of a cartoon flower when they're flat like that. So I'm going to do that for both. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. So just rolling them out. I'm not making it frilly, I'm just kind of flattening out the petals a little bit, just to make them a bit thinner and to give them that nice round shape. Okay, and then finally I'm going to bring over just some dimple foam, and I'm just going to use the back of that. You just need some kind of sponge. You know, you can buy petal sponges as well, anything like that will do. You just need something soft. And what I'm going to do first of all is take the ball tool and just indent a little bit just to make it come in, and that really does look like a cartoon kind of flower now. I'm going to do the same for that one, and then I'm going to just give it some shape. So the foam just makes it curl in a little bit more than the petal pad does. So I'm just gently ball tooling around there just to give it that kind of shape, and that's the typical shape of your wax flower. So I'll just pop that to one side and do the same for our second one. So there we've got our two shapes. Now we're going to bring over our centres. Now there's two ways you can do this. If you're being really as botanically correct as possible, this would be sort of a frilly pattern, and the best way I've found to do it is with one of these little cutting wheels. You could use an X-Acto blade, I've got one somewhere, to do the same kind of thing. Where is it? Here it is. So you could just frill it out with an X-Acto blade like so. And just make it a little bit frilly. Doesn't matter if it's not completely the same everywhere, because nature is not perfect. Or I quite like to do it with this and just do the same, just pull out a little bit, and it seems to give you more kind of fronds doing it this way. Ended up with 3, I don't need 3. Now finally we're going to put these on our petal pad as well. Now I've made them a little bit frilly, and we're just going to give these a little bit of shape as well. Not too much, we just want them to curl in a little bit so they'll go with the shape of our flower. Finally, we're going to bring these over while they're still damp. And I'm going to take some 28 gauge wire. Now you don't need very thick wire for this, it's a really light flower. And if you look at a proper wax flower, it has just one tiny, very, very fine stamen that kind of sticks out in the middle of it. So we're going to use this 28 gauge wire as our stamen. So you can probably get 6 out of this one length, because you don't need it very long. I'm going to bring over some some glue. Actually, you can use edible glue, or you can use egg white. I'm using egg white here, just because it's readily available. Obviously, if you're vegan, you're not going to do this. I'm just going to dip half of the wire into the egg white, just to make it sticky. And actually, I'm going to do this first. What I'm going to do is take a tiny little brush, and I'm just going to stick tiny little brush, and we're going to stick that middle onto there. You might need to take a Dresden tool or something just to pop it on, and do the same with the other one. Take a tiny little bit of glue in the middle, and just stick it on like so. Then we're going to take our wire, dip it half in the glue, and we're just going to thread it through, leaving the sticky bit at the top because that's where we're going to stick. Now we're just going to bring it, hopefully you can see, let me just zoom in a tad. You can see I'm just leaving a tiny little bit sticking out there. And then I'm just going to twirl down the wire. Now there is glue on most of this wire, so I want it about there, so you can just see a little bit of the stamen sticking out, and that's how I want the flower. I have made some earlier. I'm just going to pop this in some polystyrene foam just till it dries off a little bit, and then I'll show you the same again. So we're just dipping our wire halfway in the edible glue or egg white, sliding it through the flower, and just twirling this round. Now these are so small and light, they don't take very long to dry at all. So there we go, I'm just going to leave that there. So if I move that out of the way, what we can do now is dust up. Now you'd leave these to dry, you know, you'd probably leave them a good 20 minutes, maybe half an hour while you're making a few. You need a few, like, to make a bit of an impact if you want a branch of them like this. If you're just doing the odd one or two, then, you know, they won't take too long to dry. Okay, so to dust these up, we're gonna just bring a couple over and I'll show you what we need. So I'm gonna use some Edible Art Bubblegum Pink, because I found that it looks quite a bright pink, but I found that was the best pink to match the real wax flowers I had. I've got some Rainbow Dust Olive Green and some Fractal Colours Lemon Yellow, and I have some Robert Hayes Dark Burgundy. Now you just need tiny little brushes for these. I like to use nail art brushes. Obviously they're just used for flowers, but these are really nice little nail art brushes, and I should have some links on my website to these as well on my favourite product page, so you can see all those there. So I'm going to start off with the yellow first because that's quite a pale colour. Now you can use a little palette to pop your colours in if you want, or you can just put them on the paper here. I'm going to use the palette because I'm going to mix this yellow up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just pop a tiny bit of yellow in here. Don't need much at all because it's literally just around the edge of the inner part of the petal. And I'm just going to pop a tiny bit of dipping solution in there. Now you can use dipping solution, you can use rejuvenator spirit, you could even use vodka, sort of white spirit. That's going to evaporate really quickly. Don't use water or that will ruin your flower. So what we're going to do is just paint around the very, very edge of this inner petal, the one that we frilled out. Now this is supposed to look like kind of fronds, like frilly kind of stamen on here. Just need a little bit more, I think. So that goes on first, and we're going to let that dry. So I'll do both. If you do all the same colours at the same time, it just makes things easier for you. Next, I'm going to go for the pink. So I've got a little flat brush because I felt that this kind of got in better to the petal. So I'm just going to pop a bit of that pink there. Bit of a mess going on here, haven't I? And this is pretty random. So the real wax flowers that I was using as inspiration had sort of little bits of pink here and there. So you can just be as artistic as you want here. You can get right in underneath that and just put it wherever you fancy it. You might want it more pink on some flowers, you might want it a bit less pink on others. So you just go for it, and we'll do the same on the back. So it doesn't all have to be pink, but just you go for it, and it's a nice little flower to practice your dusting skills on. You can't really go wrong because there's no right or wrong answer here. You know, each flower in the little bunch I bought was completely different. So some were much more pink, some were much more white, and just had little kind of patches of pink on them. So you just go for whatever looks nice. So that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to put a little bit of pink kind of round the rim here. I'm going to do the same with this one. Next, I'm going to bring over my burgundy. This is a really, really deep burgundy. It almost looks black. And again, I'm going to use the Rejuvenator Spirit to make a tiny little paint with this. It just means you can be a bit more accurate, and the dust doesn't go onto the pink, and it won't go too much on the yellow either. So just make a fine paste, and we're just going to try and get this right in the very centre. And it will spill out a little bit, but as long as you keep that yellow rim, you know, you don't want this to look completely uniform and round. We want it to look a bit more organic. So you can see we've got our white stamen sticking up, we've got our purple, we've got our yellow, and we've got our pink. So we'll do the same for this middle. And then finally, we're just going to brush on a little bit of green. Now I do have a green brush somewhere. And again, I'm just going to do this. And this looks like the bud where the flower comes from. You know, you don't need a calyx on this because this is kind of your calyx. So that's green, and the same for this one. So there are little wax flowers. Now what we need to do, I'll just move all these dusts out of the way for now. This paper. What we're going to do is just tape it up. Now if you haven't used florist tape before, you just stretch it and it sticks to itself. Now this is far too thick because these are tiny little flowers. I've just got full width green tape here. So I'm just going to cut this down the middle and make it half width, and that should be more than enough. So just start by giving it a little stretch and then just twist it round your bud, like so. And the same for this one. Just twist it round. And there you've got your stalks. Now, there are little flowers for now. They're going to look really cute on here, if you can see. So they're going to just add on here somewhere. But I want to make just a couple more little buds like this. Now I'm just going to start with green because I'm going to make the leaves as well. And I've got this green foliage, ultra fine again. If I can get it out of the packet. This is the best thing about these pastes. They're really sticky packets, so it keeps your paste nice and moist. Now again, we're just going to need tiny, tiny pieces here. And I'm going to use 28 gauge wire again, and I've got a couple of pieces here. Just make 2 buds. Now I'm literally having the tiniest bit for these buds. I don't want much at all. Maybe, you know, not even the size of a pea, much smaller, like half a pea. And I'm just gonna, you can dip it in your edible glue if you want, but this paste's sticky, I think it would stick anyway. Just gonna pop it on, twirl it around the paste a little bit, just so it sticks nicely. And then I'm going to take my X-Acto blade. You can use just a knife if you want, or you know, if you've got an indentation tool, that would do, a cutting wheel would do. I'm just going to make some dents in there to look like the bud is just ready to break open into the petals. And then finally, I'm just going to give that a little dust with the same pink just at the tips here. So about halfway up, and just bring that down into the green. And then tape that up, and that is our little bud. So you can do a few of those to intersperse with your flowers, so they look quite nice together. So you've got a little bud, and a flower. Like that. Looks quite nice. And then finally, to make your leaves. Now the leaves they look like a bit like a rosemary plant. So again, all I'm going to do is take the tiniest piece of green, and I'm just going to roll it on the very end. Let me bring this paper over, because green on green you can't see very well. So if you can see, I'm just kind of rolling it on the edge a little bit and leaving it like that. So we're going to need quite a few of those to make the impact of the leaves, but it's really, really quick. And then you can give them a little dust up with some green as well, if you'd like to. So we've got some of our green dust here. Obviously you'd wait till they're dry, a bit drier. These are still soft. And again, we need to just tape these up. You could actually just paint or use green 28 gauge wire as well if you didn't want to tape these up. But that's what's going to make our leaves. So if we tape those together, like so, and pop them on to our little bundle here. I would put a lot more leaves on than this, but that's how they would go. Then we've got a nice little cluster. So this would look nice on its own, just in between some more showstopper flowers, just like that. So you've seen how easy and quick that's been to make. Or we can add it onto our branch and just have a nice whole branch, and that could be the only decoration you need on your cake. So you can see nice little fillers, to go in a more showstopper cake, or really nice and quite contemporary on their own. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Please hit the subscribe button, and you'll be first to see all the new classes coming up. If you need support, come join Urban Flower Collective. And if you're on any of the paid masterclasses, then they're all available on my website. A lot of the tools I use are available on the favourite tools part on my website, and if you need the PDF to download to see what the equipment is and for your step-by-step guide, then that's on my website as well, which is all in the show notes. So I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.